Hey there, new hires. This is Alek, the IT guy. In this video, I'm going to go over how to put an order into Point of Rental. So first things first, you're going to want to actually sign into Point of Rental. I'm looking for this little icon here. Okay, so it'll take you to the program menu. This is sort of the headquarters of everything related to Point of Rental, right? So those of you in customer service or in dispatch are always going to live here in the counter system. So go ahead and click counter system. So anytime you see this pop up, it's just asking you for your ID. This is how the system keeps track of who does what. So it's almost always your initials. So in my case, it's AJ. If your initials don't work, or for some reason you don't know what your password is or your ID is, you can go and talk to me, Alek, the IT guy, and I'll get it to you. Or you can alternatively ask Wendy. She also has access. Wendy Leadholt, who's our office manager, she also has access to the system to get that for you. Okay, so in my case it's AJ, so I went ahead and put that in. So you're going to go to the customer dashboard because we're assuming you know the customer name. So in this case, I'm going to put in test. So one thing to note about searching for things in Point of Rental is that less is more, right? So if you're searching for, say, Glorious Electric and you can't seem to find Glorious Electric, well, the easiest way is to go backwards. Again, less is more, so just search for GLO, right? The first three letters. So anything with GLO in the beginning or containing GLO or something that contains GLO will pop up in your search and it'll be a lot easier to find things then, right? Another example of things to look out for when searching is for uppercase acronyms like, say, ABC Electric. Sometimes it'll be in the system as ABC, no space. Sometimes it'll be in the system as A space B space C. If you're ever putting a new order or a new customer, you're going to want to do the spacing, but sometimes people didn't do that in the past. So, anyways, just something to note. Um, if you're having trouble finding something, think that that might be one reason why, right? So in our case, it's pretty straightforward. Our customer's name is Test. This is the test account that we use. So I went and put in TEST, and there he is, our test customer. So go ahead and select them. So it'll bring up the customer record and all their open contracts, any contracts they've done in the past, closed ones, reservations they may have. So in our case, we just want to make a new contract, right? So go ahead and bring that up. 99.9% of the time, you're going to be opening a reservation because typically it's things happening in the future. So go ahead and click reservation. Okay, great. So it's going to go ahead and bring up the customer information. This is almost always right. If by some miracle you see something that's off, then you can go ahead and notify myself or say Wendy or somebody in billing or even somebody in dispatch, right? Depending on what the issue is. But usually you won't see anything. 99% of the time it'll be fine. So in our case, everything looks good. The only thing that you might regularly see pop up is an accounts receivable notice where it says, hey, these guys are 90 days overdue on their balance. Most cases you can continue to go through with the order. If you're not sure or if it seems like a crazy number, you can go ahead and talk to billing. That's Brian or Vince or Gloria. And sometimes you can even talk to John or Andy, depends on who the account is, right? But for the most part, you'll be able to go straight through and just click OK. So here in our test reservation, we're going to say that the customer needs it on the 30th, so on Friday. And they need it at, let's call it 10 a.m. Now, if it's before 6 a.m., there is an extra $100 charge, I believe. That's something you're gonna have to clarify with Dina or billing, right? But just keep that in mind if anything ever comes before 6 o'clock. So, anyways, let's go ahead and put in the item. So once again, less is more. We're looking for a 1930 electric scissor lift. So let's just put in 19. So any item with 19 in its name is going to pop up. So in our case, there's 1930 ES. That's exactly what we're looking for. So the customer just needs it for 24 hours. It's a one-day auto term. So we'll go over what that means later on, but go and press OK on 24 hours. Enter quantity. Quantity is always going to be 1. So one thing to know that's very important is we only ever assign 1 item per contract. If a customer calls in and says they want 3 items, 3 scissor lifts, you're going to be making 3 separate contracts for those scissor lifts, even if they're going to the same place. It just makes things much easier to keep track of for billing, right? So with that in mind, we're going to press done because we're not adding any more items to this contract. Okay, so it'll flash a second, and the next thing you're going to want to do is go into information. So these following fields are going to be really important that you do it exactly the way I'm telling you here, because it's important for billing, and most importantly, it's important for the drivers, right? The drivers use a mobile app that tells them what they need to pick up and deliver, and it goes by contract. So if you put in information wrong, they're not able to see what they need to see, right? So make sure you follow what I'm about to tell you here. So the very first thing here in the first field is you're going to want to put in the city and then the address, or city, sorry, dash address. Okay, so in our case, we're looking at, let's use La Habra as a test case, and then dash the address is 1000 South Leslie, excuse me, South Leslie Street. PO number if it's applicable. If it's not applicable, just keep it empty, or put 195896 or whatever it is. Or if there is no PO, you can leave it empty. So for the contract type, you don't have to worry about that. Ordered by is the person calling it in. So if I called the office and said, "Hey, put this in," then you'd put in Alek. You don't have to worry about these two. Now the sales rep, this is typically the person who calls it in, right? So if Andy calls in an order, it's almost always going to be Andy's customer. So just keep that in mind. In our case, I'm not in the system as a sales guy, so we'll just use Max as our test case here. Okay. So now let's go to the delivery tab right here. So contact, this is going to be your on-site contact. This is the person who's going to be either on the job site physically or is responsible for the job site that we can call in the event of an issue with a pickup or the delivery, or if we need help getting in somewhere. Well, if the driver needs help getting in somewhere or what have you, right? So in our test case, we're going to say that Bob is the on-site contact. His phone number is 555-555-5555. And now this location field is really, really important. So we're going to go back to how important it is for the drivers to see certain bits of information, right? So in this case, it's very important that you put in the equipment model dash the address. At the very least, the street address. If you can fit in the city, great. So in our case, we're getting a 1930 ES dash the street address, which is 1000 South Leslie Street. Like I said, if you can put in the address or the city, great. Okay. Next thing is we're going to go and put in the address. Make sure this is correct. I'm sorry, I don't want to put Cerritos. It's my hometown. It's La Habra 90631. Okay. So you can go and click anywhere else. You can click in delivery instructions or here, and what you'll notice is as soon as you click out of the last field, this update tax button will pop up. So go ahead and click that. The reason we do this is so that it assigns the correct sales tax to the contract, and so that we know what sales tax to pay when tax time comes due. It's really important that you do this, otherwise Wendy, our office manager, has to go in and do this for each contract manually. So we want to save her the hassle of having to do that, because that'd be several hours, if not days of her time. So we click Update Tax. Most of the time, it'll just update the tax automatically. Every once in a while, once in a blue moon, you'll have these special jurisdictions with multiple zip codes. Or I'm sorry, these special zip codes with multiple tax jurisdictions assigned to them. So in that case, just take your best guess as to which is assigned to which. In our case, I know for sure that it's La Habra, so just go ahead and assign that there. But for the most part, it should just go straight through. Now, another thing you'll want to keep track of is if you think that the rental is going to be over 70 miles and you're not 100% sure, you can click Map It here. And it'll tell you exactly what the distance is. So in our case, it doesn't say anything because it is our headquarters. It's essentially taking itself from where it began. So you don't have to worry about it there. But if this was to say, someplace like, I don't know, let's call it Malibu, or someplace that's 70 miles over, what we do is we charge $100 over the standard $140 delivery fee, or we call it a pickup fee for tax reasons. So just keep that in mind. For the most part, you'll never have to click Map It because it does take a little bit a little while to load. But if you're not 100% sure and it's on the borderline of you think like, hey, I think this is going to be over 70 miles, this is a good way to check because it will tell you exactly what the distance is. And if it's over 70 miles, then what you'll want to do is put in the delivery notes, over 70 plus miles, please charge extra, right? So that'll at least tell us. And the delivery notes are for messages like that, or alternatively, actually, I shouldn't say alternatively because you'll need to put this in. If the customer says, hey, I got a lockbox on the gate and the combination is 1234, right? That's really important information for the driver to see so that when they get there, they're not wasting their time calling the on-site contact and just unlock, and they just go ahead and unlock the gate and get in, because they've implicitly been given the authorization to do so because the on-site contact gave us that information, right? So it saves us time, saves us hassle. Things like, hey, it's a dock load, or it's a 24-hour auto term. You'd put all that stuff in the delivery notes. So this is stuff that everybody can see, and most importantly, stuff that the driver can see, right? Um, Going back briefly to the whole 70 mile over thing, if you want to make sure that billing is able to see that, and this is something that you should kind of take in vacuum because you won't be doing this for every contract. In fact, you'll be doing this very rarely. But in the event that you do have that come up, you can create a reminder here, a task list, right? And then say, please charge extra $100 for 70 plus mile delivery. Okay, and then you can select employees, click OK, and then you can assign it to Brian. Yeah, Brian Wolfley right there. So that way he knows when the time comes that, hey, I need to do this, right? And you can set the reminder for whenever you want to set it. So anyways, you'll hardly ever have to do that, so I wouldn't really worry about it, but just so you know, that is there. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a quick review. So your on-site contact is the person who we can reach, who's going to be on the job site or is managing the job site. So you put in their name right there, their phone number, location, super important. Get this right every time. Equipment number or equipment model dash the address. So 1930 ES dash 1000 South Leslie Street, La Habra, California. If it was going to Cerritos, it would be 400 AJ dash 17927 Cyberbrandy Avenue, Cerritos. Okay. Same thing here. Don't forget to update the tax. If you don't see the update tax button, fill in this information and then click out to any other field on this page, and the button should pop up, right? Okay. So apart from that, that should pretty much be that. So go ahead and click OK. It'll take you back here. Click OK again. All right. So here's where you have the option to select delivery or non-delivery. 99.9% of the time, in fact, let's add another couple extra nines to that, it's going to be a delivery, right? Non-delivery means the customer can come pick it up or deliver it them, or pick it up and deliver it to their own location. We never do that because that is a liability issue. The insurance will not cover that, so obviously we don't like doing it. So we don't allow customers to do it. So go ahead and click or choose delivery. This information will auto-populate from the information you put in earlier. You'll recall that we did 11:30 at 10 a.m. So all you have to do is press OK. On the pickup date and time, there's two ways to do this. So you might recall that I talked about the 24-hour auto termination. So basically, if the customer knows for sure that they just need it for one day, then you can set the pickup time to be at the end of that 24-hour period or slightly over, and it will automatically show up on dispatch to be picked up. And we will send out a driver to get it when that termination is done, right? If the customer isn't sure and they say, hey, I want it out for 2 or 3 days, or I want it out for a week, or I want it out for a month, even if they think they're sure that they want it out for a month, don't put a pickup date. Tell the customer that anything over a 1-day auto termination, they must call in and tell us that they want it terminated. That way we'll come into the contract later on and then close it out that way. Then it will show up on the pickup list for dispatch, right? So once again, to reiterate, if it's a 1-day auto termination, 24 hours, you can go ahead and set a pickup date to be at the end of that 24-hour period. If it's anything else, 2 days, 3 days, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, then don't put a pickup time. Tell them they must call in. Okay, get some kind of affirmation for the customer that they understand that, because the onus must be on them to recall. So, anyways, go ahead and click no pickup. confirm all this information here. Okay, so let's click OK. And once again, this will come up. Like I said, this is super rare, so I wouldn't worry about this. But if you do see this message about zip codes having multiple tax jurisdictions, just pick the right one that you think is the closest to what the correct one is. Okay. So for some reason, this comes up. Enter pickup for each pickup surcharge over 70 miles. Okay. So in some cases, this will come up. Usually what will come up is a box that gives you all the various options for how do I say, what types of pickups you want. So usually it's going to be $140, right? So if it isn't automatically giving you the option to pick 140, just manually type in 140. But 9 times out of 10, you'll have these dark gray boxes that you can choose from. For whatever reason, it's not showing it here. Something I will fix probably after I finish this video. But go ahead and click OK. Enter the item name. If it's not a surcharge over 70 miles, just go ahead and call it a pickup. Okay. And there you go. So the pickup's in there. Don't worry about the key, just as long as this here is named correctly. Alright, so now that is done. So go ahead and click OK. It'll bring you here. Click OK again. And you are finished with changes. It'll bring you down here. The last thing, don't forget to do this, click email electronic signature. So what this does is it sends out a signature form for the customer to fill out, verifying that they looked at the reservation and they understand what they're getting into, that all the information is correct, right? So make sure you get that. Go ahead and click email. Okay, so there's going to be a message that's auto-generated here. We've already built that out for you. Just make sure that the email is correct and that everything else is correct. Usually it will be, and then just click select send. And there you go. If you want to be sure that you actually put it in, go to customer dashboard, and there's your reservation. So that's pretty much all there is to it. It's very, very straightforward. It may seem a little bit daunting when you're first trying to do it, but as you'll see, just keep referring back to this video, keep referring to the step-by-step guide that I also have in paper form that you can read if that's more your learning style. And I mean, you'll get this, or you'll pick this up really quick. The beauty about it is it's repetitive. It's the same thing every single time. So after a while, you become a master at it, and it shouldn't be any issue for you moving forward. Then you guys can move on to the good stuff. So anyways, you guys know where to find me. I'm the IT guy. If you have any questions, I always have my laptop around. Just come talk to me. Otherwise, I will see you guys in the next lesson video.